Okay, and I shall share my screen. Today's topic is about how to handle your off season. Again, this would be more relevant to other people than others. As in some people are in this PV squad are had a bit of an off season. Some people are wrapping up their having another couple of B races to tick off. But all of these things and topics we will discuss are important and relevant. So, off season. First off, it's not a bad thing. I find a lot of athletes struggle with the concept of taking an off season, and mainly out of fear, out of I've taken so long to get this point in my training, and I feel really fit. Yes, I feel a little bit beaten up after my A race, but I just don't want to lose I'm in great shape, yada yada. These are the reasons why I insisted all my athletes should take a minimum between 3 to 6 weeks of an off season, because whilst you've got yourself to that point where you've done your first 70.3, you've got a PB or whatever the result you got out of the season, you do need to take downtime. And it's primarily just to avoid mental and physical burnout. What we do is fairly time intensive, it's fairly physically taxing. So your body does benefit from just literally switching off from structured training, realizing that when the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning, you do not have to head down to a pool. You can snooze button that bad boy and just relax and sleep and also ignore Garmin, ignore Training Peaks, because it will give you these worrying messages about you being unproductive, your CTL and your ATL are going to the toilet and you're becoming unfit. Yes, there will be a little bit of detraining, but that's not a bad thing, because what's worse and what people who do not take off season tend to go from one series of stressful structure training into the next block, and they don't allow their body and their mind and also the support structures to recoup from the fact that they've been having these long training weeks, heavy training volume and long bikes and long runs. And then they end up soon either, as I said, worst case scenario, you get injured. Not even a much better case scenario is mentally you just sort of go, oh, I can't do this. And you'll give up at a time when you need to be kind of highly motivated when you're going into a new block. So give the body time and the mind time just to relax. Because what you want to do when you do start your next block of training, when you have targeted your next big scary goal, if it's a time goal, if it's a first time distance race, if it's an age group podium or it's an age group placing, you want to be hungry and like a coiled spring for that. And you'll only do that by just switching off. Okay, so next question. And again, I have a lot of obsessive compulsive athletes and a lot of people, and we're very driven individuals. How long should I take? Is it like 5 days, 10 days? I said, look, it depends. It'll be a function of how much you did last season, how much you exerted your body, and how hard your race was. So the off season for someone who just took up sprint, did their first ever sprint triathlon and trained for it for kind of 3 months, and they were out like a relative decent fitness, that'd be a shorter off season, because they didn't really kind of push themselves to the line in terms of what they were only kind of learning what they knew they were capable of. But if you kind of did your first 70.3 or your first an Ironman, or you did a series of hard Olympic racing and you trained for that for a good 6 months, like Kenny put himself through a really structured training and he came out with a great result, he's going to need a longer off season. So I typically put it between 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, that's just my general rule of thumb that I've got from experience with athletes. So okay, in these 3 to 6 weeks, what am I going to do? What can I do, coach? All right. First off, the first thing you need to gain from this is resting and relaxation. Don't you try things. Have a lie-in. Go to the movies. Reconnect with your social life. All these people that ask you to listen, come down to the pub for a beer, or can we go see this this concert? You go, I can't. I've got to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and cycle around the world. embrace them. Plug yourself back into it. As I lived like a non-triathlete for a while, it's actually nice and interesting to see. Trust you eventually tire of it when there's only so much like really bad food you can eat or Netflix you can watch, but it's just good to just take your foot off the gas. And as I said, ignore Garmin, ignore Training Peaks, and even if you do slight easy runs, do the that's now called naked running. When I was first starting out, just gadgetless training. If you're gonna go for a run or a bike, you know what? Leave the Garmin at home, because otherwise you're looking at going, oh, I was very slow in that run, or was my heart rate a bit? But it doesn't matter. This sort of training is just ticking over. Take away the mental and physical stressors. Just enjoy it for going out and running, and just mindful running is another way of describing it. You're out, once you're not looking at your watch, you're not worried about your heart rate. You're looking at the scenery. Enjoy it. Now, I know that will be only good enough for a week with triathletes, because we suddenly go, no, I have to. So this is how my kind of carrot element to it. You can try different things, right? That will, in the long run, probably help you as a triathlete. But also, you know what? They'll be fun and they're goofy. Mountain biking, gravel biking, cross-country running, entering swim meets, and going to the gym and just pumping iron and stuff like that. It'll give you that endorphin buzz, but it won't. You don't need to be worrying about, what zone is my heart rate in? Like, all these things are important when you're actually in structured training. But when you're just doing things to keep ticking over and to goof around and find a love for actually just being in the outdoors and allowing your body to and your mind to get refreshed and re-energized, do different things. Because when it does come to structured training, someone will go, hey, listen, we're going out mountain biking, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to, but I need to go and do whatever, a 60k bike and a 3k brick, So take advantage of the fact you'll have downtime. You'll have the ability, and these things are fun. And by the way, a lot of people will in the off season will become stronger bikers from doing mountain biking and from doing gravel biking, and also doing some gym work. So whilst don't put yourself under pressure, it's nice to know that you'll be setting yourself up for success. The third thing I get guys to do is review constructively. And again, it's not a time to look back and poo-poo your year and sort of go, oh, no, I didn't get that, again that. Look at what went well, what went badly, and what would you check and you change. And you can do this under kind of 3 categories: your skills, what's your swim like? Do you need a bit of one-to-one coaching? Should you hop in with a master session? And that could actually become part of your training later on. Your bike, are you weak on the hills? Do you find it, was it hard to keep up with a group? Are you poor at descending? Now's the time to kind of just, even identify it and sort of go, okay, later on, I need to practice more hill climbing, or the mountain biking will help me become a better descender. Your run, how are you running off the bike? Is your lactate threshold fairly high? Again, this will also inform conversations with your coach. We're looking at your plan, where you need to improve. So look at it and go, these are things I'd like to improve, because this will make my next year better than the year before. Equipment, there's always new tech, there's always new things you can look at that will actually make your life easier. Was your bike set up right? Your pain cave or your train, where you're losing a lot of time when you're meant to be going straight onto a turbo and you're faffing around because you have to set something up, or you couldn't get Zwift connected, Think about the ways you could save time. So when you actually do need to get up and it's a 6 o'clock session and you need to get an hour done before you're heading off to whatever, to work or to help with the kids or that it's slick, it's quick, and you know what, you're maximizing your time. Bike maintenances, again, I always laugh that a lot of our triathletes cannot change a puncture. They don't have to clean their bike. They then complain when their bike breaks down or the chain falls off or breaks and all of that. A lot of really good stuff on YouTube on Global Bike Network about how, like, these simple skills. Take the time now. They'll make you a better triathlete in the future. Are there new tech? Have you not used Zwift? Have you used Full Gas as an app? Have you used Ruvi as an app? Now's the time to kind of test it out and go, actually, I prefer Ruvi over over Zwift because you actually get to do the Ironman training courses. And again, but you need to make sure that that's something you should try out now and you can goof around rather than I've got to do whatever an hour and 10 minutes turbo and I can't get this Ruby thing to work and now it's half an hour in, I'll just give the session. No, set it up, try it out, find out what works, get yourself again, think about saving time in the future. Functional review. Did we have any injuries that you're concerned on? Did you find yourself weak in sort of or in certain areas? Do you have inflexibilities? Go to your physio, go to your PT, and get these things analyzed. And so go, look, I found it very hard to stay in the aero bars for my 70.3. Said, okay, well, let's have a look. Okay, your back's very stiff. Do these exercises, add in yoga, add in Pilates, and get yourself set up for being able to do all the things you want to do. Because the more you set yourself up for good, consistent, unbroken training, that's where you really break into the PB stuff. It's the consistency, it's the hitting the numbers week in, week out, and the progression into the plan that brings you to the next level. Fourth area I'll talk about is planning. Now, at this stage, you should have, ideally, you would have, when we started the PP squad back in January of this year, we had a bit of a session on SMART training goals. That's specific, measurable, oh God, I've forgotten the other one. Hey, oh my God, I have to go and refresh myself on that. Accurate, realistic, and time-bound. So essentially, what do you want to do? And you should have said, okay, I want to do my first 70.3 this year, and I want to shave 10 minutes off my Olympic distance, and I'll do that by becoming 2 minutes faster on my swim. I'll become, 5 minutes faster on the bike and 2 minutes faster on the run. And again, you should have mapped them out and had these little big goals and then mini goals throughout the year. And you look back and said, okay, right, I did complete the 70.3. That's a hit. That's a tick in the column. I only took 8 minutes off my Olympic time, even though I wanted 10. What happened there? I didn't get the run gains I was looking for, yada, yada. And you go, okay, that's fine. That's what I've learned from last year. How does that inform what I do differently the next year? And again, we'll take on Einstein's theory of insanity. You are literally insane, according to Albert, if you do the exact same things over and over again, expect a different result. Now is the time to figure out what you need to do something differently. Now, it might be a case of all these items here, your training, your coaching, race scheduling, did work and you got your goals. But now, how do you tweak them, make them a little bit better that you're getting the next level up? Was your training efficient? Was your training completion right? Did you kind of hit all the sessions as you should? Did you find yourself skipping on certain things, or were you too tired to do things? Again, you look at your skeleton week and your structure and make sure it's working out for you. The coaching model you're using, as in terms of the plan, whatever, is it working? Do you need a little bit more attention? Do you feel that you've open questions that you haven't resolved with your coach or however you're interacting with them? Have those conversations now. Your race scheduling. Did you race too much? Did you not race enough? Did you have the right type of races to back up your goal? For example, if you have a big goal of hitting a 70.3 specific time, you want to have a couple of hard Olympic races in your plan so you can really sharpen your knives before you turn up on that day, that you're hitting really good numbers on the bike, you're running strong off like even a 40K bike, but you need to make sure that you have those races scheduled that will lead you up to that goal. Your goal setting, was it realistic at the start, or did you underestimate? Did you overestimate? And again, that's you looking back on, if you hit everything in your SMART goals and there was no real challenge to you, you underestimated yourself. Let's aim higher. If you hit some of the goals you aimed and you just missed one by a country mile, you weren't realistic. So again, look at them based in terms of what you did last year and work it out as percentage improvement. So, okay, I want to go under 6 hours for my half Ironman. Great. What was your time this year? 7 hours. Okay. What's that work out as a percentage improvement? That's a big jump. You need to kind of work out what that works out in percentage and how that would affect and inform your training. As in, if you find, listen, I could get 45 minutes in that on the bike. I've been very poor on the bike. Use laser focus your training in on having big bike weeks. All part of the planning. Work-life balance. Did you find yourself demotivated, kind of low energy? And it wasn't just from the training; it was because you were getting grief from your friends, from your partner, because you just weren't putting time into other things. Then you need to adjust the balance. Then you need to agree, like, I'm going to rearrange the training that Friday's my rest day. I have a light day training on Thursday. Thursday's date night, or family fun night, or la la la. These things that you adjust now will set you up for failure or for success if you think about it in a way that will feed into your own energy system. And it's not only energy in terms of your motivation, your actual energy from you getting from fuel, etc., etc. It's from life energy, as in it's like all like if you know that Monday is a really stressful day in work, plan for very little that day, because if you don't take into account that you have a bad night's sleep on a Sunday because you're nervous about work on a Monday, you're not going to be able to get a quality session in. Give that as your rest day and manage your training around that. Okay, Mark, I've run through a lot of things there. Is there anything else in terms of off season that you would recommend your athletes do?
Yeah, I would actually. Yeah, I think it's about just basically topping up your body battery again, getting back into the green. So for me and the athletes I would coach, it's a lot of them would be really restrictive around their diet, and they will not consume alcohol, and they really take it to the nth degree. So it's going out with the wife for dinner, having a glass of wine every night or a few beers every night in the off season, in this downtime. So, when you're out there, hitting the 5 or 6 hour bikes again and the long runs, and, it's grim and it's tough work, you've always got, it's okay, I've got a few months to go and I'm back in, off season again. I can have a few glasses of wine or, go and have fish and chips or whatever your poison is, just to get the batteries back into the green. It's a long time, it's a long season of training and racing where you restrict yourself from all the good things. Go and ride your bike on a Sunday with a club and eat coffee and cake if you don't normally do that. So it's, for me, it's, and the athletes I take, it's a real opportunity to to let the hair down. Not that I have much hair to let down, but to let the hair down and enjoy yourself for 3 to 6 weeks, and then get back on after being fully charged again and really ready to go. After 3 weeks without training, most people are keen as mustard to get back on and structured training again. So, take the opportunity.
Yeah, no,
I
100%.
have one of my athletes, he had a week off and he was pinging me saying, right, I want to start training again. It was only a week. I think it was 6 days, and he'd had enough of no structured training. But you've really got to, and this is his first season, so I get where his enthusiasm is coming from. But you've really got to hold back from that and take the time when you can.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, that's another point. As in, off season needs to be a carrot. As in, yes, your race and your goal. As I always talk about, our racing is our reward for all the hard training. Our off season is an equal reward for a good hard race. And I think, as Mark is referencing as well, that we just need to park the fear that all our training and all our fitness will be lost forever. The body has a tremendous ability to remember and muscle memory. So yes, you will detrain to a certain extent, but the fact that you're not going back to where you were whatever 10 years ago when you never did any triathlon, it will take again probably one block before you're kind of tapping back into the CTL and the fitness levels that you were beforehand. So just park that nervous energy and as I said, embrace. And as I said in the YouTube video, that it rejoice for your all season. All right. So I'm gonna stop the video now, and then we're gonna have the Q&A, because I do like to kind of incentivize people to dial in. I don't want them just to be able to watch all of this on video. So thank you everyone who have joined in to watch the video. Do try to get on board for the next session. I will send out a note which that topic will be, but I'm now going to stop the video and we're going to go Q&A. And recording is over.